Hey guys, I'm Allie. Welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we're going to be finishing up planting the rest of the broccoli into the vegetable garden, going to thin out the rest of the beets, and we're going to start staking up our tomatoes and training them to grow up the stake. So I'll walk you guys through step by step so you guys will get to see the progression of how everything's been growing over the past few weeks. Lucky you. Alright, so if you guys like today's video, make sure you hit like and subscribe if you would like to follow along my gardening journey. It would mean the world to me. Alright, let's get growing. Okay, let's jump right in. First, I like to clean up my space by getting rid of some weeds in our garden. I keep this up fairly frequently just to keep the ground clear and for them to spread less over time. Now, let's finish planting those tomatoes. So that's the chocolate.
Where's my tuck?
Chocolate cherry tomato. And then we're gonna just use a pole to stake them up.
Those bamboo poles,
Yeah.
because they're supposed to grow tall.
Yeah. I'll put this one
Just
there.
have to water it.
That one there.
Yes, that's it.
There. So 4 of them. We're trying out a few different types of cherry tomatoes because we eat them almost every day and we love them so much. So in the back of the bed, we'll put a row of 3 different varieties and we'll stake them so they can grow nice and tall. Teamwork makes the dream work! After transplanting, it's crucial that you water your seedlings and your plants immediately. The root system has experienced some level of damage and it needs to recover with some water ASAP. Also, we're doing this in the afternoon, but ideally you want to water and do your transplanting in the morning or the evening to reduce transplant shock with the sun or burning the delicate leaves from the sunlight. It's stake time! Let's train these tomatoes. So these are just hardwood stakes that you can pick up at your local Home Depot. We got some 4-foot ones and some that are 6 feet that we also use for the cherry tomatoes that help them grow taller.
Just make sure you tie this under the leaf. Even here the first maybe. Let me see. Or in between here. And tight but not too tight. And this is like a foam wire. Okay. So it will stay attached. And you have to remove all the little, like this one, remove it always.
The bottom.
And this leaf, this one and this one goes out. Okay?
Then we'll use the foamy wire thingamajiggers to help them grow up the stake. Just in case you missed that, here's another play-by-play demonstration. So these are the little shoots you want to remove. So pruning the side shoots off your tomato is extremely important because it'll reduce your yield over time if it's competing for all the nutrients with this one shoot. It may not seem like a lot, but it actually does make a big difference for producing a lot of fruit. So this will also allow your plant to concentrate on growing up the stake. And the higher it grows, the more sunlight it's gonna get, which means more fruit. So if the fruit is touching the ground, it can actually rot. So you really want it to be trained to grow up the stake. It's also easier for you to pick the fruit if it's higher off the ground, so it's kind of nice. This rule doesn't necessarily apply to the cherry tomatoes, as this will have a more bushy appearance and doesn't need to have the shoot pruning. Now quickly, I'm just going to finish up planting the rest of our broccoli. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, so start now.
Yeah. So this is my first year actually growing broccoli, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how it's going to grow. So you want to take as much soil that you had when they were growing in the pot, so they keep all their nutrients. Put it down as far as you can into the hole. Cover the first 2 leaves, so those don't matter. Cover and press. So they're about a hand length apart. Should be fine. So we're gonna plant them all along here beside the carrot, because the carrot will go straight up. And then all this spreads, but I'm gonna trim it down. Next, I'm going to tend to these clustered beet seedlings. I'm going to separate only some of them by putting them in rows of 3 on either side and see how they turn out. Sometimes you just gotta learn new techniques by experimenting, and that's what I'm about to do. Okay, so we have our beets here. They're growing pretty closely together, so I'm gonna separate them kind of like a zigzag, and that'll help them grow a little bit better. So gently, you want to scoop it out. Don't use this, use this. So scoop it out quite a bit so you get like a solid chunk. Very gently. I have some extra soil here. So I'm gonna fill up the area because they don't need too much, they don't need to be too deep. So I'll protect the other ones. Now, I'm gonna kind of decide, I'm gonna make like this. Some on this side, and some on this side, and some down the middle. So it's like 3 rows almost, but space them out as much as you can. And slowly break off just the bigger ones. Honestly, if some of them die, I'm not too upset because we have so many. So take this. Want to keep as much of the root intact because it is a beet. They grow from their root. Put it in. Cover. This will probably take a while because I'm spacing out quite a few in one area, but basically that's the thing, is I'm just gonna space them out and give them more space to grow. See, like this is kind of unprotected. Didn't really want that to happen, but hopefully it'll survive. If not, we have hundreds of other beets to choose from. So this is how it looked after I was done. It's kind of difficult to keep the soil with the root, so don't worry about keeping the soil together like how I did with the broccoli. As long as the root is intact, you're good. So when I thinned out my beets, I removed the smaller, weaker seedlings and just kept the stronger ones. This did take quite a bit of time because there were so many seedlings to pick through, but we pickle them, we make beet soups, and we use them daily in our salads, so I really wanted to have a lot growing this year. I did the first round in the afternoon when it was really hot with the sun, so they wilted pretty quickly, but I gave them a really good watering and I used umbrellas to give them their shade. On my second round, I did them in the evening at sunset, so they turned out much nicer. And this is how they looked after I decided that this was enough separating because it took forever. But honestly, it was so relaxing and it was so nice to be out playing in the dirt. You guys can see how big everything grew. On the side here, this is where I thinned out all the beets. They're kind of like growing a little bit slowly, but I think over time it'll grow. And then down the middle here, this is where everything just kind of took off because I left it alone. So we'll do a little experiment and I'm gonna pick one out just so we can see how it grew. So as you can see, clearly not ready, but it's grown really nicely, so that's good news. So over here too, the soil wasn't really growing the plant very well because this is where we extended the garden, so we think it has to do with something with the soil. So any of these little microgreens, you can save them and put them in your salad if you want, so that's kind of nice. So I also read online too that when I thin them out, the smaller roots, I said to separate the plant like 3 inches apart, but the bigger ones to do 5 to 6 inches apart. So I kind of did that with these here anyways, so this will grow a really nice beet. Not sure how these ones will grow, but over time we'll find out. So yeah, as you can see, clearly not ready, so maybe 1 more month or 2 more months and they'll be ready to grow. For now, I'll enjoy spending time with my old gal Marley, who I've had since I was 12. In the next video, we'll follow up with some other important garden tips that I think need to be done when you're growing your vegetables. If you don't want to waste the greens as well, and it can get sunburn if it's not, and I don't like that pretty. I want to go over here. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for my next video.